This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation, Pop Goes the Movies is back. Oh my God. In this crappy year, pandemic and all, we finally are starting to see first-run movies at home. And we have a fun one to talk about tonight on our return. I am Andy Atherton. I'm being joined here by Jennifer Smith and Tim Capel. Hey, guys. How are you?
Hey, doing good, Andy. How you doing?
I'm good. Good. Tim, how are you?
Double A, not bad. Thanks for having us. And wow, the first movie since Birds of Prey here in 2020, I feel like.
Probably. I mean, well, there was Mulan, and which we haven't done yet. If we are going to do, maybe we'll talk about Soul at some point, because that also got released Christmas Day on Disney Plus. But today, we're here to talk about superheroes, and you guys are big comics people, readers, whatever you want to say. And we're talking about Wonder Woman 1984, released Christmas Day in theaters and on HBO Max, which is how probably 99% of us have watched this movie. I think very few people probably saw it in theaters because we're still in the pandemic. We may have the inoculation, but not everybody, barely anybody's gotten it yet. So let's kind of just start briefly, though, talking about Wonder Woman and the first movie and your thoughts going into this sequel that was long awaited. We haven't seen a new DC movie for quite some time. So, Jenny, we'll start with you. Mm-hmm. What did you think of Wonder Woman, the first movie with Gal Gadot in the title role, and as well as the character Wonder Woman going into this movie?
Oh, Jesus. I fucking love I really love Wonder Woman. And that first movie was just mind-blowing for me. Gal is just like the character for me. She's just perfectly cast, in my opinion. DC does have cast issues, I think, sometimes. So I thought they really nailed this one. I thought she was wonderful in the first movie. And I thought the first movie was really well done. Like, it felt grounded. There was really good action, a good origin for Diana. She was very charming. It was funny. Chris Pine was good. So I just really loved that first one. And Wonder Woman is an iconic character. I love her.
Yeah, the first one to me is kind of like a combination of Thor and Captain America, where she's this kind of superhuman or god-esque, but it's kind of the gritty war movie. Captain America. Tim, what do you think of the first movie and Wonder Woman as a character?
Well, there's a very good reason that Wonder Woman is referred to as part of DC's holy trinity of characters alongside Superman and Batman. And in my mind, it should be very easy to do a good Batman movie. It should be very easy to do a good Superman movie. It should be very easy to do a good Wonder Woman movie. And for some reason, I don't know why it took so long to get this project off the ground and to get a proper Wonder Woman film. It was one of those, seemed like it was stuck in development hell for a while. There's all these kind of stop-start efforts, and then finally we get the film. Patty Jenkins is attached. People feeling really good about it. Rave reviews. I will say, while I was not as high on it maybe as most people, for the most part, I was satisfied with that film. Loved the casting of Gal Gadot as the titular character. I think she's great. And I mean, I thought it had some third act problems, but we can kind of touch on that maybe as we draw comparisons and contrast to this sequel. But yeah, for the most part, I'm a fan of that first Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's mostly where a lot of the problems are, I feel, in a lot of superhero movies, is the third act, the villain. I felt the same way. I've not been the biggest fan of most of the villains in the DC movies in this new era, I guess. I don't really count like the Nolan Batmans or the original Batmans for the the Tim Burton and Joel Schumachers, because those had really great villains for the most part. Some of them were not so good. I am not a comics person, but I think a lot of people, it depends on your age. Honestly, because I grew up with the Linda Carter TV show. I watched it not as religiously as like my girlfriend. My girlfriend, she literally was, when we went to go see the first Wonder Woman, I think we had just started dating actually, and she was like grabbing me, like literally like pinching my arm the whole time. She was like just like so giddy, and she was like so proud to have that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Linda Carter, but my mostly frame of reference is Wonder Woman from the Super Friends cartoons, all the iterations and everything. And yeah, she was, as Tim said, she was one of the top dogs, basically. It was Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, and sometimes Aquaman was up there, or Green Lantern, but she was one of the leaders, one of the lead heroes, I guess, the strongest heroes. So let's start at the beginning of this movie, though. The opening scene. Tim, what did you think of this kind of flashback to Diana as young, learning a valuable lesson in this competition on Demisteria? I always have trouble remembering or pronouncing it. The island.
Yeah. Well, we're off to a great start here because I hated this opening scene.
Oh no!
Yeah, thought the CGI was atrocious.
Well, yeah.
Did not, which I don't want to harp on too much because what can you say beyond the CGI sucks, right?
Right.
Yeah, there was a bit of CGI issues in this movie.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie, and I'm not gonna keep beating that dead horse. I just want to say that it's one of those things that I'm kind of less forgiving of as I get older, only because it feels like there's no excuse for that.
There isn't, honestly. You're right. You're right.
And you compare it to its contemporaries. You look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm not trying to say that Marvel would have done it better, but you look at those movies, and they don't generally have, with a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, they don't have those kinds of issues, right? Nope. And this is just, what was this, like a post-production problem where they didn't finish and just sort of rushed it out? I don't know, but that kind of took me out of it. I also was just sort of, I don't know, this is looking ahead a bit, but it didn't really connect, I feel like, to anything else in the movie. The message or the takeaway from this opening scene, I guess, was there are no shortcuts in life. You can't do it that way. You have to put the work in, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't really the theme of this movie.
Yeah.
Which all right. And B, I don't think that they even did a good job of illustrating that point through this opening scene, which was this tournament amongst Diana and I guess her peers, and she falls off her horse, and we think that's it for her, but she finds a way to get back on the horse, quite literally, and advance and reclaim the lead in this race. And I'm like, that's not a shortcut to me. It seemed like she's
being resourceful.
Yeah, she was being resourceful, exactly. Like, if she could skip these little checkpoints that are set up along the way, I gather, I don't know that I truly followed all that, then that's a design flaw of this little tournament, not a character flaw
of Diana.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like,
I would agree with that.
I'm kind of like, what the fuck point are you trying to make here?
Yeah, I had fun with it, but I agree. I didn't really... Like, I was kind of like, why is she getting crap for it? Because, I know she didn't, I guess you missed a checkpoint, so, minus 5 seconds. I don't know if it was the Olympics or something, but Jenny, it sounded like you liked this opening sequence.
I did, and I think it was mostly just based on the performance of the young girl that was playing Diana. I thought she was really excellent in it, and she was really quite believable, I think, in besting these older women in this. It's very odd. She's very, small compared to them, not as old as them. Probably maybe embarrassing for those girls to lose to this young child. But I thought her performance was really good. And you're right, there was hella CGI issues in that, but not all of it, right? Like, some of it was okay, and like mostly it looks good. I thought the mascara looked really good. Pretty colors, very bright, but yeah, the lesson there was kind of lost on me as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of, I think truth was trying to be the whole theme of the movie, I guess, but it really wasn't about truth. Mm-hmm. It was, she wasn't lying, she didn't mean to take a shortcut,
and she didn't cheat. She used her wits and said, okay, I've still got a shot at this. I'm going to go for it. And
I do see some ways it does connect later on, but it's pretty thin.
Yeah,
Honestly.
you have to
Yeah.
kind of reach. Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Mhm. Yeah. So, all right. So that was the opening scene. Then we fast forward to 1984. Diana is now, single girl, senior anthropologist at Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. She specializes in culture of Mediterranean. She also fights crime as Wonder Woman, kind of like not a vigilante, but she does it and she tries to be, she wants to be under the radar or out of the media's eye, I guess, so to speak.
Hmm.
So, Jenny, what do you think of the 80s setting and this whole the mall scene where she kind of foiled or attempted to foil this robbery, and it turned out there was a fencing operation going on in the back? It was kind of multi-layered here.
It was quite a lot of things happening in that beginning. I thought it looked really cool. Like I'm a mark for 80s stuff. It was cheesy looking, right? Sort of this is I don't know if anybody will agree with me, but this movie had me reminded of lots of other movies, and one of those was Watchmen. Particularly towards the end of it, but in the beginning, still bright and pretty
Mhm.
80s. Later on, it gets gritty, like Watchmen style. But
Yeah.
anyway, um, and the mall sequence I enjoyed because it felt very comic booky, and some people do not enjoy that, and I totally understand it. But it 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 looked exactly like something I've read in a Wonder Woman comic book before, and I thought one of the connections that I've always really liked about Diana is her connection to children, and I thought that came across really well in that sequence as well.
Yeah, as somebody who grew up in the 80s, because I'm a bit older than you guys, everything was spot on. I mean,
Hmm.
it was very accurate at the time.
Very,
And
yeah.
it was a fun sequence. I mean, there was, I love the little girl part where she kind of got in the way and gets, kicked back into the teddy bear.
Hmm.
The whole bumbling, it was not a very well thought out. I mean, the one guy kind of loses his shit
Yeah.
basically and has this, hanging this little girl over the thing. Tim, what do you think of the mall and the 80s setting overall?
I like the setting, the 80s setting, definitely. And I like the premise behind the scene, which is, hey, let's just show Wonder Woman in action
Hmm.
thwarting, like, kind of just a mundane robbery,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And yeah, I fully support the initiative behind that. But once again, the effects, the CGI, like, super took me out of it. But I do want to just stress that I think a big part of this film, a reason that certain elements of this film worked for me and maybe didn't for other people, is just the overall tone.
Hmm.
And you have to consider, what is the film trying to accomplish? What is it going for? How does the tone and the setting contribute or, detract from that? And I thought setting it in the 80s like this was very complimentary.
Hmm.
And it reminded me of other films too, not so much Watchmen, but maybe some of those Christopher Reeve Superman
Mm-hmm.
movies. Not
That too,
making a
yes.
comparison in terms of quality
Right.
necessarily, but just as far as just the more whimsical kind of tone,
Hmm.
where we take a lot of things for granted and you just sort of hand wave it because it's that kind of movie. So that was like where I was trying to get my mind sort of centered on, even having some gripes and some criticisms coming out of this scene.
Yeah. See, I like setting films in the 80s, the 70s, even the 90s, because technology is so what it is today that it would be so unbelievable that they couldn't, just have this, that, the other thing at their disposal, and they
Right.
have to be a lot more resourceful if you set it back in, excuse me, these times. So, yeah, I agree with you, Tim. So we meet Maxwell Lorenzo, aka Max Lord. He is a charismatic businessman and founder of the Black Gold Cooperative, famous for his TV infomercials, kind of like a combination of Gordon Gekko from Wall Street and
Hmm.
Lex Luthor from the Superman films, played by our good friend Pedro Pascal, just fresh off The Mandalorian season 2, where we actually got to see his face. Spoilers if you haven't seen The Mandalorian, last few
Thanks.
episodes of season 2. But sorry.
It's okay.
But anyway, What do you guys think of this performance? Because he is really our central villain. Well, we'll start with Tim. Tim, what do you think of Pedro Pascal's performance?
Well, you say that, but I found him rather unrecognizable, to be honest with you. It took me a second to register, oh shit, this is Pedro Pascal. This is who he's playing in this movie. You know, I heard he was in it, didn't know exactly what his role was. This is the Mandalorian. Well, they did him up pretty good to look like that 80s yuppie businessman type. I will say that knowing a little bit about the comics character, Maxwell Lord, like he's kind of playing that character in name only. I don't think he shares a whole lot in common with his comics counterpart. In fact, I connected to an entirely different comics character, that being Glorious Godfrey, of the New Gods, kind of a lackey of Darkseid, in fact, which I almost thought they might do some kind of swervy sort of reveal, but essentially it's a mashup of these two characters was my takeaway, and I may be totally, you know, in left field and thinking that, and someone else who's more familiar with the comics lore will say, well, no, it was really this. But yeah, I didn't think he had all that much in common with the character he was playing, but the interpretation for what they did in this film still had its merits.
Yeah, I have no frame of reference. I know nothing about this character, so I was kind of going in blind. He becomes a vessel and uses that power for his own, I guess, good. Jenny, what do you think of Max Lord?
I have quite limited comics knowledge of him. The few stories I've read, it's not recognizable to me as Max Lord, and so I just thought that was just an odd choice. Like, why are we picking this guy? Which, I mean, he is, I guess, a fairly prominent Wonder Woman villain, but it just seemed like a very odd choice. Because he's not even really that bad. You know what I'm saying? He's not a great villain anyway with what they've set him up to do. You know, you feel really fucking sorry for him by the end, and you never see whatever happens to him. Spoilers, but
it was a spoiler-filled review.
Yeah.
By the way.
I guess we should stress that.
I guess he was fine in it, like for what they were doing. I just didn't know why they were doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, and I honestly, I really want to one day, you know, get into comics, read, and get up on the lore and all that stuff. I did not like this villain.
Right.
I like there being like essential antagonists with a thing and knows the weakness of the hero, kind of that thing. Which, you know, like I've said, there's been such an issue with the villains in the DC movies.
Right.
I've not liked very many at all, really. I mean, I even liked, you know, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor probably a little more than this guy. I mean, I thought he was fine. Well,
that's a hot take.
Yeah. I mean, well, he was fine. Like, as an actor, as a performance, it was fine. I don't know, the character just didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm there with you.
I was sitting there watching, and I was kind of like, this is our big bad for this movie.
You know, I feel somewhat the same way, but I think a part of that is because of sort of what the plot requires of him, and he makes decisions that don't necessarily make a lot of sense, right? Like, and the plot itself is rather convoluted,
right?
Just in the sense that you've got this wishing stone, essentially, okay? And, you know, you can wish for whatever you want. It's going to grant your most fervent desire. You know, you just speak it into existence and it will happen. Awesome. Well, at the same time, it takes something from you. It takes what you most value. Mm-hmm. But you don't know that this is happening. And apparently it is somewhat selective or arbitrary in what that might be. So It's like,
Right.
oh, well, you wish for this. Well, I'm going to take this from you. And it's like, you don't even know what you're signing up for. And that just seems to like kind of
Yeah.
break some of the rules of how this kind of plot device is supposed to work.
I think it's just like equal to the wish, right? So like in the beginning, the guy just wished for coffee, and dude shows up with coffee. I doubt he has to like, his soul is gone for that.
I don't know. It felt
I
very...
just feel like it's just
If it
like
is, there better be some good coffee.
like maybe you trip and fall later in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like something equal.
I was
you get a sprained ankle for a cup of coffee.
Right.
thinking that too, but at the same time, it felt like sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. Like it was such a tit for tat kind of thing, the way that this worked, and I'm like, okay, that's certainly a choice, and
gradual as well.
Yeah,
timing.
Right, very good point. It wasn't all at once. It was sort of, this would manifest gradually, except.
Well, that makes sense in the context that the god responsible for it was a trickster, right? All this is a giant prank to him.
Yeah,
right?
basically it's just trolling people.
He does it on purpose to make it that way. So you're right, it's convoluted, but I'm kind of fine with that. It fits her job.
I mean,
if it's her past.
I'm ultimately sort of whatever about it. I think it sort of hurts the character because he's so, I mean, literally he becomes the plot device, right? Like, and that's another thing that, okay, you can wish for whatever why would you want to become the thing that grants wish? Like, why would he not wish for, I want great powers of persuasion, of, charisma, no one can resist me, whatever like, why would you want to become the thing? It was such a stretch. Like,
and then that led to some confusion later on. Because about the next character we're going to talk about, somehow it gets 2 wishes, right? I think, if I was following it correctly. But I'm talking about Kristen Wiig as Barbara Minerva, a.k.a. Cheetah. She is a geologist and gemologist who befriends Diana before becoming imbued with mystical abilities that gradually transform her into a cheetah-like superhuman who allies herself with Lord to fight Diana. So I liked this character, and I knew a little bit about Cheetah from the cartoons. I didn't know her origin story, but I was very excited. I love Kristen Wiig. I think she can do, she's so comedy is top notch. I mean, a couple of characters on Saturday Night Live I was not a fan of, but most of her characters I've loved, and I've seen her do some drama, Skeleton Twins and stuff like that. I was excited for her casting because, sometimes those out of left field casting in superhero movies tend out to be some of the best casting. The ones that may kind of make you shake your head a little bit in the beginning can surprise you. So Jenny, what were your feelings on Kristen Wiig's casting and her performance? Because I think she was great, but we didn't get enough Cheetah in this movie. So what did you think of Kristen Wiig? Her, first of all, when she was cast and the performance and the character and all that.
I was surprised, but like quickly, the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, like she will totally nail that, and I could just see her doing really well at that. I know a little bit about this character as well. Honestly, this was my most like heart-wrenching disappointment of this movie, was this relationship. This is what I was hoping it would be about. What the fuck we need? I mean, why do we need a Maxwell Lord when you have this perfect like relationship, this friendship that you can spend all this time in developing and make a truly great villain out of Cheetah?
Yes,
it's absolutely wasted opportunity and a wasted character, even though she does it really well. It was just, there's just so much they could have done, because Diana, where she's at, she's very closed off from people. She doesn't have any friends. She shuns men throughout the movie, which is pretty awesome and hilarious to me. But they really could have done something here with like having them connect, watching Barbara's jealousy grow, the whole transformation into Cheetah. It was just really flat and overshadowed by all of the Maxwell Lord nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the ending later, but I really want more Cheetah, more Barbara Minerva.
Yes, there has to be more.
Yes, I mean, it kind of reminded me, and I've mentioned this in our chat, that somewhat like the Riddler in Batman Forever, I think.
Quite so.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that kind of like nebbishy little, quiet, nerdy type that gets confidence or gets some abilities through, whether they're bringing other people's brain power or her wishing to be. That's what we say. She held the stone and wished she could be like Diana. That was kind of how this whole thing started for her. Tim, what did you think? Now do you have a lot of knowledge on the Cheetah as a character?
No, not especially. Other than she's like a pretty A-list Wonder Woman antagonist.
Absolutely.
I drew a line back to a different feline character in fiction, that being Selina Kyle in Batman Returns, where she starts out quite similar in both character and appearance to Kristen Wiig's Barbara Minerva here, and goes through that transformation. So that was sort of similar to me, and I wondered if it was deliberate, almost as, I don't know, like a soft homage maybe, but
right, yeah.
I could also see the Riddler, from Batman Forever. The point is, it's tough because this is kind of a stock character type. It's a bit of a cliche to be like, oh, the mousy woman who can't stand up for herself is a big loser and then gets power and can't handle it.
Well, there's only so many ways you can create a supervillain in the comics, really. It's like,
and the comics, sure.
Yeah.
And the comics, sure. But this is an opportunity to perhaps do better.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I think that maybe the origin of the character is kind of tropey and kind of sucks, but she sort of transcended that as the movie went on. And by the way, I think Kristen Wiig was fucking brilliant in this. And I think that regardless of how you feel about the movie as a whole, I think she should get better roles going forward as a consequence of this performance, because I thought she was that good, even if the movie itself left something to be desired, and the script for that matter.
Yes.
But yeah, I like that relationship that they started out with between her and Diana, where she's kind of got the girl crush on her, right? Mm-hmm. And then again, they do the very cliche thing of, oh, now she has power and she's going to go bad. But if anything, they kind of made her too sympathetic after she received the power. Like she gets accosted by this guy he's not just catcalling her, no pun intended. Mm-hmm. Like he's physically assaulting her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she like fucking whips his ass, and we're expected to feel sorry for him. Mm-hmm. If anything, she should have fucking kicked him into orbit. Who cares? Like I would have stood up and clapped. Like, I'm not going to feel sorry and think that, oh, she's gone off the deep end because she beat up an attempted rapist, essentially. Like, fuck him. So that was a little bit of an odd choice.
I just want to see her get real evil. You know what I'm saying? Like that was so lame. Like,
I don't know. Like that's the thing. Like
I want to see her.
Yeah, she's too sympathetic, so you can't look at her as like a total villain.
Yeah.
But if they had made her like the total villain that you wanted to see, I'd be sitting here going, well, what a bad message, right? Like you give somebody who's rather disadvantaged, we'll say, a taste of power, and then they can't handle it, and they turn into an asshole, right? And I'm like, that's such a bad thing to put out into the world, I feel like. So I don't know where I land on her at the end of the day. I do think she deserved better than being relegated, as you said, Jenny, to like this secondary villain status.
Mm-hmm. There's a story in there. I'm not a writer, but I see that there's the building blocks of something really great.
Yeah.
It was a missed opportunity here.
Definitely.
That's what really
missed opportunity. Now, and I do also wonder, like, did this go through a bunch of script rewrites? Because
it had to.
There's stuff that just doesn't like form a coherent whole, like doesn't connect. Again, that opening scene that doesn't like tie back to anything. It's just sort of left hanging. Clearly, there was another script another movie that actually had a thematic tie-in to that opening scene.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just got lost or rewritten. I don't know. But yeah, Cheetah, I think, is a good example of that. And I do sort of like her sort of final. I don't like the look, mind you, of the final metamorphosis, but just sort of her headspace before she gets to that, where she just goes, I don't want to be like anybody else.
Right.
You know, I'm tired of humanity, basically. I sort of feel like that's something that, like, a surprising number of people watching this movie could kind of relate to.
Yeah.
Just you are so over it.
Yeah.
It like, I'm so sick of these people. I'm sick of this place. I just I want to be something different and better now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to dog on. Yeah, you can say, well, she looked so stupid, and why would she want to be this cat person? Yeah, okay. Talk to me all day about that, but the motive behind it was very sound, I thought.
Yeah, it's like a drug. She has this confidence, this abilities. She doesn't want to give it up. That's really what it comes down to.
And she has legitimate grievances.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think they could have done a love angle on her part. You know what I'm saying? I think she should have fallen hard for Diana, and then that would have been your hook.
And like maybe misread the situation because, you know, Diana is kind of sworn off men, but doesn't mean she's into women. Or not into Barbara, certainly, and just misreads the situation. And it turns into, I don't know, like a
That's
very
also a relatable, you know, kind of concept.
It is, yeah.
You can mine it a lot. I think Kristen Wiig could really mine that. You know what I mean? I want to see that.
So before we move on from Kristen Wiig, I'll throw a little curveball at you guys. So Tim, you said you want to see her get better roles. Does any MCU character that we have not seen yet come to mind when you say Kristen Wiig?
I mean, nobody in particular, but I would love to see her incorporated in some fashion.
Dazzler.
Okay. Yeah,
I could see
somebody from the X-Men.
Yeah, I was sort of going through the list of like X-Men characters.
Could she pull off Emma Frost?
No,
She's not.
Well, I think she could pull it off. I don't know that she'd be my first choice, but yeah, I mean, I think she could pull it off. I could see her like, I don't know, maybe it's like a Mystique.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We could fan cast certainly.
Yeah, we could do that
all day. Because I mean, I think she's got the chops. She's, you know, a versatile. She's proven herself to be a capable and versatile enough actor that, sure. I mean, get her in there. Get her in better movies. I mean.
So the biggest question that we had was the returning of Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine. Mm-hmm. He comes back through Diana's inadvertent wish, I guess, and inhabits, you know, another guy, basically.
A rando.
Yeah. All right, Tim, what did you make of this plot device and the return of Steve Trevor?
This had to be a rewrite. There's no reason. Like, why does he come back in the body? Why doesn't he just come back as himself? I mean, if you're not gonna do something,
he's dead.
Well, I mean, yeah, but so what at that point? I mean, if it's a totally supernatural...
you're granting wishes here that basically, you know, the guy becomes a rock or a stone or whatever. You know, you can't bring Steve Trevor back from the dead. You got to put him in some other dude's body.
He just appears out of thin air.
Again, in the trickster logic, it makes sense.
It's
just another level of fuckery within the original.
I think it would make sense if it had any bearing on anything. Like, it feels like if you're going to resurrect him he has co-opted somebody else's body, you ought to do something with that, right? Like, they should be having conversations around the fact of, oh, well, you know, who is this guy? And now I'm living his life, and aren't people asking about him? Did he just lose his job because we're doing all this globetrotting? And who is
whatever, man? Who cares about that guy?
If you don't care about him, then don't bring him back in the body of another person if you're not going to do something with it.
Is she the only one that sees him as Steve Trevor and everybody else sees that other guy?
I don't know.
I'm confused. Like, is this R.I.P.D. or something?
Yeah, because the scene where he was looking at his face in the mirror.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But then to your point, it's sort of these wishes seem to have kind of a gradual effect sometimes. So was he gradually like becoming more Steve Trevor and appearance?
Less rando?
Yeah, like I have no idea. And that's the thing, like I don't understand why you do this if you're not gonna address it at all, other than this tacked on scene at the end that looks like a Hallmark movie where she actually sees the guy, right?
Yeah.
Which is sort of okay, but so I mean, did he just like obliterate this guy's mind and soul? It begs a lot of questions that the movie is not interested in even, addressing at all.
Like, has it become while you were sleeping?
So why do it? Yeah, is my thing. Like, I don't mind that he's back. I mean, it's fine. Bring him back however you want. But if it's going to be like this, then you ought to address some of the implications that you're clearly establishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jenny, what do you think of them bringing back Chris Pine and in this way?
I mean, it's a stretch. Like, it is. I thought he was really charming. I thought that I love the symmetry between her showing him the 1984 kind of a callback to the first one where he was showing her around. And I just thought he was really sweet and lovely and a great addition to the movie that didn't really make sense, but I just went with it anyway because I enjoyed it so much. Mm-hmm. And their relationship is one of the real, I think, like, what makes this character special and what makes this I don't want to say franchise, but what they're trying to do with her special. Like, I thought that they have a real good on-screen chemistry. Like, it's very believable, and she's not really going to spark like that with anybody else. But I was disappointed that she was spending all this time with Steve, even though I loved it, because I'd rather be doing this with Barbara.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, he was the love of her life, but he dies.
Right.
In the first movie,
right.
It's
I didn't really need the resurrection and all that. I mean, it was nice. Like, I'm a romantic, so sue me. I get it. It's really sweet. Yeah.
And I like
Chris Pine. And it was heartbreaking at the end, too.
Yes.
Terrible at the end, but...
I do, yeah. You know what? I don't want to sleep on just the relationship between the two of them, because I do think what works in this movie really comes down to the two of them.
Yes.
And like you said, their romance and their chemistry. I really like Chris Pine here. I mean, I just kind of like Chris Pine, but I think he really does fit in these movies very well. And you know what? I even like that the montage where it was like he's playing like a Ken doll, basically doing dress up for her, and it's one of those, like, it's a montage that's like very concerned with the female gaze, I feel like, which is maybe not my place to say, but it's something that you see so rarely in these types of movies.
Right.
So it's one of those, okay, it's kind of nice that they did that.
But yeah, it was cute and funny and, whimsical, and, she just lights up when he's around,
And it just speaks to how I think this movie is concerned with, all these plot criticisms you can have and all these unanswered questions. We can go through, I mean, we literally have a list that we probably won't be addressing because those people aren't here.
Yes.
So, but I just think it speaks to the fact that this is a movie that is reaching for kind of a broader audience than like your typical comic book guy. And I know that's like it
Right.
sounds like a shitty thing to say. And yes, all these movies have wide appeal, quite clearly. Avengers Endgame is like the biggest movie of all time, but this has its sights set on maybe a different demographic. And I don't think that's something that should be damned, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's there really for her to have to say goodbye to him again, because she has to. I mean, that's really because the part of her by making that wish that she loses is her abilities, her goddess, her strength and all that. She becomes vulnerable. She becomes mortal. With getting bullet wounds and being hurt and being tired and all that stuff. In order for her to save everybody, she has to, in order to do that, although, you can call in that whole thing like, well, where are all the other superheroes at this time? No, it just happens to be Wonder Woman's movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in order for her to do what she needs to do, she has to make an ultimate sacrifice or ultimate choice.
And calling back to the beginning, it's a shortcut. It's not, actual real. You know what I'm saying? She knows that it can't last.
Yes. All right. So
ideally, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't know. I kind of want to talk about this more because I think it gets overlooked as something that does really work well and is to this film's credit. Couple things. Just ideally, it should not be just this mutually exclusive proposition between you have to either choose love or choose like personal fulfillment or whatever, right? But that is the choice that she is basically presented with, and yes, it's for the greater good. Certainly, she's concerned with bigger things, but it's kind of like Andy, you guys might laugh. It's like an "I choose me" moment. Which is like easy to look at and go, oh, like Kelly Taylor ruined that for everyone, right? But there really is something to that, right? There is something to that idea that is very like kind of affirming, I think. And it's not like a bullshit girl power kind of thing. Like there is something behind that. And I thought that their farewell scene. It's
God.
Like, yeah,
it destroyed me, man. It was rough.
It's setting you up for this kind of like grand goodbye, and she just sort of is like,
ugh.
Well, I'm gonna head out. And it's like, wow, because up to that point, this had sort of played out like a fairy tale, Right. And for that really kind of brutal intrusion of, well, the reality of this situation is she's just got to walk away.
Yep.
And it hits you.
Rough.
I mean, I kind of had the same, and I know people are going to shit on that.
Yeah, well, whatever. That's
but
fine.
Yeah, and then the scene with her kind of like, I call it the learn to fly scene.
Yes.
I thought was genuinely like actually moving. Just
I adored it.
Character and writing standpoint. Where it's it's just sort of recognizing this concept that even though you have like loved and lost, you can still take what you have learned from your experience to better yourself.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think that's really good stuff that gets lost in some of the just complaints about, well, the plot doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah, okay, but it's really not that kind of movie. I kind of liken it, again, going back to those Superman films, like Superman 1 and 2, we're talking. The very cheesy "Can you read my mind" scene. It is so silly to watch today, but it's just sort of like more of a tone poem than a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that this was very similar to that, and just artistically, I appreciated it.
A tone poem. I love that. I love that. I thought that the invisible jet scene with the fireworks, I thought that was lovely.
Oh, that was a fun scene.
I really enjoyed that. And then the learn to fly after the gut punch of the goodbye was so incredibly beautiful to me. And I knew it was cheesy when I was watching it,
Yeah.
but I was caught up in it. It was gorgeously done. I mean, some of the CGI we had problems with, I thought that was like really beautiful. And I thought she was really stunning in it.
Yeah. We're running a little short on time, but there's a couple of points I want to have you guys just really get. We talked about the invisible jet. I loved it, but we again, like Cheetah, we didn't get enough. Like as soon as I saw it, I saw the shape, the plane. I'm like, oh shit, we're getting the invisible jet. I said to my daughter, we're getting the invisible jet. It's later on in the movie, like 5 minutes later. But I was very happy to see that because that's one of Wonder Woman's. You got the lasso of truth. You got her armbands, her wristbands, whatever they're called, and you have the invisible jet. That's like a Wonder Woman thing that we need to see in Wonder Woman flying, which you touched on. I knew she could fly in some capacity. I think it's more of she needs like a kind of like, she just can't fly. She needs a little bit of use the lasso, get her going, and once she's up there, she could almost like a glider kind of thing where she kind of can move with the momentum.
She certainly couldn't fly in the 70s Linda Carter, right? Like people do not think of Wonder Woman as flying around like Superman.
Yeah.
That's what she has the invisible jet for, right?
Yeah. She doesn't need to fly. Yeah, she has a jet.
Right.
But she figures it out, and it's like, okay, fine. Like, and you can complain about why is she suddenly manifesting abilities to make a plane invisible, and why is this this jet that's on display at like the Air and Space Museum fueled and ready for whatever? Like this is not that kind of movie. Is right. Just how I look. If this was like a Christopher Nolan Batman movie, then all day long these would be part of a long list of criticisms that sink the movie, because those types of movies are very concerned with plausibility, believability, making sure everything works. And this is not that kind of movie. And it doesn't mean it's inferior for taking a different approach. It just means it took a different approach. And for what it sets out to do, we have to evaluate it on its own merits, not for the type of movie that it isn't, type of movie that it is.
That's a great point.
I honestly thought, she says, he goes, have you made anything other visible? He goes, yeah, coffee cup, but I can't find it. I thought maybe we were going to get a call back to that later in the movie. Like, all right, well, I made this invisible jet.
That was funny.
Where the hell did I park it? Kind of thing. I mean, I think maybe that was a little too silly, but
yeah.
And lastly, though, we'll talk about that mid-credit scene where we get to see a cloaked woman. Some people thought it may have been, Barbara again. Maybe, she does rescind her wish, I believe. She does start to transform back, but it turns out it's Asteria, who we learned her legend during the movie about. She was the greatest warrior in all of Themyscirea's history, and she had this armor, which unfortunately we couldn't really talk about during the fight she wore with Cheetah, and it turns out it's played by the great Linda Carter, the Wonder Woman from the 70s. What do you guys think of this mid-credit scene? Jenny, we'll start with you.
Oh, I thought it was great. Like I wasn't surprised by it, but I just still thought it was very charming, and Linda Carter looked amazing.
Yes.
And I want to see more of her.
Mm-hmm. Tim?
Linda Carter, yes. Very well preserved woman. I know. And
yes.
Wow, I can't say I saw it coming. I mean, it felt a little tacked on, a little random, just because they didn't do a whole lot to, set it up. But, they want to preserve the surprise, I suppose. So maybe we'll see more of her. Maybe it's just an Easter egg. I don't know. But yeah, it's fine.
It was earned fan service to me. I thought it was a great nod. because know how many people are sitting at home watching Wonder Woman, with their kids at their doors, and they pop. I know Ellen lost her crap when she saw that.
It is nice for, like, I forget that people really did. I don't think that 70s Wonder Woman show gets the credit it deserves.
No, it does not.
Everybody talks about how great the Incredible Hulk series from the 70s was, which, I would agree for that time period, being a product of its time, very good for what it is. I kind of think Wonder Woman is maybe better from what I've seen of it.
Yes, it is.
But doesn't get talked about like with the same reverence, I don't think. And
it does have its silly plots from what I remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
I mean, come on.
Everything was silly. Everything had silly plots. Trust me.
Yeah.
As a kid growing up watching that stuff all the time, it was just ridiculous. But that was the time period. So do you have anything else that you maybe want to mention that we haven't had a chance to talk about, Jenny?
I guess just like the climax of the movie, I thought was real, just weak, right? Just like, he goes to this. That's where it got real Watchmen-y, because everybody started like, there were nukes everywhere, and they were shooting missiles at everybody, and then like he does the whole like Joker or the Riddler scene from Batman Forever, where he's like swirling and everybody's wishes and the wind's blowing inexplicably, and I don't know what's happening. Like it just, none of that was scary, or like. I was just not invested in that sort of part of the movie. So it just, she was great in it. Like, I liked how she put everything together, and it was good on her end. It's just not a fan really of the whole thing. And him when his little kid coming out of the trees, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Tim kid coming out of the tree.
Yeah, we coming out.
Yeah,
like part of me, like like he's like looking for his kid. I thought all of a sudden I lost my thought for a second, and I'm like Walking Dead, like thinking like walkers are coming out. But
oh God,
that's like where my mind was, because that scene just took me out of it. So my mind was kind of wandering at that point. Tim, do you have anything that we haven't touched on you wanted to talk about?
I mean, yeah. On the one hand, I do admire the fact that it's taking not the standard. It's not the standard superhero movie climax by any means. It's rather unconventional,
right?
And how it goes about resolving its somewhat convoluted plot. It's kind of like the power of love, the power of truth, persevering over the power of punching something until it's gone. Which okay, we should be more
good. Yeah.
Like when that happens in Doctor Strange, everybody goes, "Oh, it's so different and unique. Wow!" And when it happens here, everybody's like, "Oh, it sucked." I'll grant you could have been done better, but I admire the spirit of that. And yeah, the sort of swirling around everybody's wishes, and like, shouldn't all these wishes be contradicting one another? So it's like kind of falling apart under the weight of the plot that it is established, I feel. And boy, that fight scene between Diana and Cheetah and her full tragic.
Yeah.
That was a tragedy. I'm very sorry to say it. It felt like Cats by way of Cirque du Soleil. I don't know.
The part of it I did enjoy was Diana in the beginning was using her armor more to defend herself and not hurt Barbara.
Not to attack, yes.
Yeah, and then like by the end of that, she is electrocuting this bitch in the water, and I'm like, what the fuck had just happened? Sorry, but it was just extremely violent.
Right.
Yeah.
She did. I did like that she hesitated. Like, she gave her the choice. She was like, please, Barbara, don't make me do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought they effectively sold it that she kind of had no other option. Yeah. But it was
just
rather
brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. Just electrocutes her. That's that.
Yeah.
She lived. I mean, she survived.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You know what I would like to see, actually? Give me an HBO Max limited series with Kristen Wiig where she just tries to become the Cheetah again.
Yes.
And at the end, she does.
Yes.
Give me 6 to 8 episodes of her. You know, she's brilliant.
Yes.
You know, the character is brilliant. I mean, the FBI has her, you know, trying to figure out stuff, and she figures out how to do it, and she becomes full-fledged Cheetah at the end, and we could see her back, you know, in the DCEU. I guess
I need it. I need
Yes.
it to happen,
Mhm.
please.
All right.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah. So thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle.
It's so hard on this one. I'm so very torn by its potential, and but I can't say.
We can go half stars if you want.
I can't. I can't say. I gotta go thumbs up. I just have to.
Tim?
I'll do a very cowardly, non-committal thumbs in the middle, because look, there are valid criticisms to be had here, but I cannot bring myself to trash this movie because of what it does get right. And I think too many people have certain expectations about what this sort of movie is supposed to be. I think we have a blueprint, right, of what this kind of movie looks like. And I don't want to penalize it only because it doesn't stick to the blueprint. Now, again, you can get hung up over plot issues and plot mechanics. And for a different kind of movie, I'd totally be on board with that. For this movie, I can only support it to a certain extent. So I don't know. I think we're going to be talking about this movie for a long time. And I think there's going to be maybe a critical reevaluation at some point.
I believe so too.
Jenny, I think they will join us in the sun.
I think so too.
I will definitely rewatch this movie. I will hopefully try to do it within the 31-day window HBO Max has given us. I'm going to go thumbs in the middle as well.
I forgot that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go, like I said, thumbs in the middle, because I thought there were some good parts to this movie, good performances, but overall, the movie had a lot of issues. But
it's long.
It was also half hour to 45 minutes.
It's long.
Oh, I have to look at a gorgeous woman for 2.5 hours. Whatever will I do?
Gorgeous women on TV and movies and stuff. It's, you know, you have to be engaged in the whole story. Like, I literally turned to my daughter.
They
I'm
don't
like,
look like her.
No, I know that. I go watch the Fast and Furious movie she's in or whatever. But, you know, it was literally 45 minutes of movie. I paused it to go to the bathroom, and I was like, it's like, what's happened so far? Like, nothing really. You know, I was like,
it's not some. I shouldn't say it's long. There are some pacing problems that, like, I did take some breaks, and I don't mind doing that. I don't mind doing that when I'm sitting there watching a movie at home. I've got all day to watch it. Like, sure, I'll take a few breaks, but when it's like, gosh, it feels like this could have been cleaned up a bit. I think that could be a very valid complaint. Does it sink the movie? No.
Oh, yeah, I mean, also, you know, I did watch it, like, you know, I started like 9:30 Christmas night. I was tired. I had driven. I had been with family all day. So maybe, you know, when I watch it again, I'll be earlier in the day, more awake, in a better mind space, and more open-mindedness, I guess, because, you know, it was already leaking out. People were, you know, mehing it, and it was getting also bad reviews on, like, you know, some you know, people I follow on Facebook or whatever. I was seeing, like, you know, just briefly blurbs, nothing spoilery, but, you know, blurbs that saying like it was a disappointment, whatever. So maybe I was a little skewed. I don't know, but it's definitely worth a rewatch. I mean, when this whole pandemic thing is behind us, if it gets re-released in theaters, I will go see it. I think I will give it a shot. I will pay my money to see this on the big screen. I'm probably not gonna have a choice with my girlfriend. But anyway, I want to thank you guys though for getting together to bring back Pop Goes the Movies. I'm so happy our review pods are back. Pop Goes the Couch.
Yay!
I hope you guys both come to join us for our WandaVision chats. When that movie gets started. We're going to do something with Cobra Kai very soon. I'm very excited. And any other first run movies that we get. I'm very excited to talk. I've had such a fun time bringing back this concept here. And, you know, this was a fun chat.
All right. Thanks
very much so.
Yeah, thank you guys. I want to thank Jennifer Smith and Tim Capel for joining me to give their expertise on Wonder Woman, the character, and the movie Wonder Woman 1984. For those of you out there, thank you for listening. We'll check you out on the next episode of Pop Goes the Movies. Take care.